Welcome to The Life of Hair. My name's James Atkinson. Thank you very much for tuning in to this week's episode. Now, in this week's episode, we have got Shona, who has, well, unfortunately, had a lot of breakage in her hair, which we'll discuss in more detail in a minute. But before we do that, if you enjoy this episode, please do me the huge favour, hitting that thumbs up button, subscribing if you're new here. I've got around 400 other videos for you to watch, so it's definitely worth hitting that subscribe button. And we have new videos posted every single Sunday. So without further ado, let's get on with the rest of today's episode. So we're going to just take a closer look at what we're dealing with here. And so one of the big problems that we've got is a large amount of breakage. Unfortunately, somebody did a bit of a number on Shona's hair and overlapped the lightener on a previous time that she'd had her hair done. So she's got a lot of breakage in this crown area, which is very, 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 very common indeed for people to get breakage in this area when they have lots of scalp bleaches. It's always something to watch out for. It's an area on the head where, especially dependent on the style of your application, it can get quite hot in there and it can overlap and the hair can be pressed onto other hair. So you've got to be really careful. So there's definitely that to take into consideration today. Now, obviously, Shona would love to stay blonde, but I just don't think, and we've kind of discussed off camera, that that's probably not going to be the way forward for her for a little while. So we've had numerous discussions about what's achievable and what we think we might do. And so today, the plan is to turn Shona copper. Now, she's definitely nervous about this. And I'm a bit nervous about doing it, only based on the fact that I know that she may not love it. But we are sort of limited to options. One of the options that I came up with to keep her blonde was to do a few highlights and do a root stretch. The reason I don't want to go with that idea is because this hair just is too short. And this fringe area is really, really short too. So it could look a bit sort of almost blotchy with such a short length in there, and then some longer lengths that would be blonde. So I'm a bit worried about that. So I think it's better off if we do it as a block colour and keep it as a block colour. So that's where copper came in. Shona is a fan of copper, but I think for me, it's a little bit of an insidious problem. Putting more lightener on this could cause more breakage. We're going to run ourselves into some serious problems in a very short space of time. So what we're going to do with Shona's hair is we're going to lighten the base, but we're not going to use bleach. We're going to limit as much damage as possible. Now, one of the reasons we're going to lighten Shona's base is because when we're going to put copper over someone's hair like this, it's actually very, very naturally ashy. So the colour that Shona's hair is actually a level 7, but it's so blue and ashy, it looks darker. Perceptively, it looks darker. And one of the things that I want to do is kind of expose a little bit of natural warmth to give myself a better base to put my copper shade on. So I haven't 100% decided yet, but we're going to keep it on the red side. She prefers the red side of copper rather than the brown side. But we've got a little band in there. That's not relevant really. That's not going to make any difference whatsoever. In fact, that band's easier to get copper to go onto than the ends, because the ends had a lot of purple shampoo and toners and stuff, and Shona turns her hair pink sporadically as well. So I think for me, it's just going to be a case of lightening up this band here. We're going to use a tint. We're going to use a level 10 tint with 20 volume, and it's just going to be about exposing a little bit of natural warmth to give me a better base to put on our potentially level 6 copper red root colour, and then we're looking to fade that into maybe a level 7 just to give it a little bit more interest. And I don't mind doing that even though there's these shorter areas in the hair, because the constant Hello, James speaking. That's me, hello. Yeah, I didn't have one long ago, I don't think, actually. I don't think it was Oh, was it May? Was it? Oh, okay, yeah. Oh, okay. All right, excellent. Yeah. Yeah, no dramas, yeah. Not at the moment. I'm not at the moment. I'm fine at the moment. Yeah, call me back. Yeah. I'm happy as Larry at the moment. Yeah. Yeah. Perfect. All right, thanks so much. Cheers. Bye.
What's that?
No, that's just wanting to do a financial review.
And also, off camera,
yeah.
I think it would be good lightening it, because then when it fades, it could be like a golden blonde all over.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, well, I mean, I was going to say, because eventually you're probably going to want to go with blonde, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm addicted to blonde.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm a blonde addict and I need help.
Going to keep this in the full. This isn't off camera. I'm keeping this. But yeah, that is exactly right. At some point, Shona will definitely want to go back lighter when her hair's recovered and grown back, etc. So lightening the base is ultimately a more of a long-term game for me. Thinking about the future of Shona's hair, rather than just saying, well, we could drop a level 6 on there, and yes, it will cover it. I think if we drop a level 6 copper on there, we'll still potentially in the future run ourselves into some problems. I'm also probably going to put over a direct dye of some description at the end, just to sort of give it all a bit more richness, because one of the problems we've got is high level of porosity, so we're going to struggle to get colour saturation into the hair on these really light pieces. So just a few things to think about there. There's a lot going on. We're going to lighten up the root area first. So all we're going to do is apply our level 10 plus 20 volume to the natural regrowth. Obviously, if we get it onto some of the other hairs, it's not going to be the be all and end all. It's not going to create a huge amount of damage. It's only tint and 20 vol, and we're only looking to get maybe 2 levels of lift out of this, so it's not a big deal. And this is a 10-minute hair colour, so it will take nice and quickly, and we will have lifted the base. So I'm going to crack on with this. I won't bore you with a root tint application, just keeping you up to speed with how the process is going to unfold. We've done that bit.
Help me.
You're writing a little sign. We have lightened up the root area, as you can see. It's brought it up pretty close to a level 8, to be honest. It's very gold. It's quite controlled to a greater degree. That was a 10NN or a 1000, whichever one you want to. So double base, so giving it extra cooling power. But obviously that wasn't relevant to what I was trying to do. It was just purely, I didn't want it screaming. I wanted some control of the warmth as it lifted. Anyway, so that's where we are right now. So that's given us good base to go on to, and that gives us options in the future. Obviously, we don't have to use such strong lighteners if we want to bleach through that at some point. I'm going to put on a level 6 kind of stretch, do it down to about the parietal ridge, and then we're going to run a level 7 through the ends, both in kind of a strong copper. We're now putting the level 6 copper shade onto the roots here. I'm just overlapping that area that we lightened, and then I'm going to stretch it down a wee bit past that, and I'm going to use the kind of technique that I always use, using my comb, which I'll do in just a second. But I'm not going to take this stretch really far down. I want it to sort of fade out from the roots. Main reason for that is that I don't want this to be too dark, because ultimately Shona's going to want to go back blonde at some stage. So I don't want to create kind of some high maintenance dark root colour that I'm going to have to deal with at some stage that's kind of moved really far down the hair. Plus, Shona's hair is highly porous, so the chances of her hair going darker and then it spitting the colour out later are very high. I think one of those things with porosity is that you can end up with it either rejecting the colour instantly or takes the colour too well and then spits it out later. Have conditioned this when I took off the root colour just to ensure that we could even out some of the porosity, but you can't always legislate for what's going to happen. So I'm going to jump on, I'm going to do all of the root area before I stretch it, so I won't keep you watching that, and then when I stretch I'll show you the next phase. So we're going to now just stretch down our root colour, so we're going to use that old classic technique. Comb goes in horizontally, and then we angle the comb down and we pull the product and we stretch it down the hair. So that's just to do that all the way through. You can do this nice and quickly in square and then tilt out as you come out, and that just means that the product builds up on the comb rather than ending up, you know, pulling it through the ends of the hair. Obviously where the hair is a bit shorter here, you can pull it most of the way through these short pieces, I would say, just because it would be better if that's one dense colour or a denser looking colour at that root area. So I'm going to work my way through this technique now, just like this. and then I will come back when I apply my next colour all the way through. So now we've stretched the root area down, what we're going to do is come back through and place our end colour on, and then we can just apply it to the point at which we stretch the colour down to, and then angle our comb out, and you can see the transition there in the colour, and we just come up to the point at which the stretch started, and we can come back in and use the same action but just further down the hair. We don't want to go back into the root area, that will cause all sorts of problems. But we can just come back in now here and then pull that colour further down, just like so. So that's that quadrant completed. I'll complete all of the quadrants now, and then I will come back to you when I put the direct dye on. So all of our base colour and end colour is rinsed off. It's looking good, nice and coppery. Got that slightly deeper shade at the root area there, and then a little bit lighter level 7 towards the ends. But I always like to put direct dye over the top of our colours. I think it just gives it a bit of a pop of colour, and it just ties it all together, especially when you've gone over previously pre-lightened hair or anything that's kind of very porous. So this will just give that little bit of extra je ne sais quoi, as they say. I've said that before in a video, and it actually means I don't know what. So, so I'm going to put this on now, and then you'll see the finished results in a sec. So here we have the finished result, and I really, really love what we've done here, and it's created that beautiful copper shade. And by adding in that direct dye at the end there, it kind of just gives it that little extra pop of colour. And I think for a lot of you out there who kind of struggle when you're going over previously pre-lightened hair, or kind of don't manage to get the colour to look rich and expensive, is a word that Shona and I both described it as, that direct dye trick really, really does help. Now, don't forget to charge extra for that, because it is extra product, but it is important, obviously, you tell your clients, you know, these kind of processes are more corrective. Obviously, we've still got this breakage to tackle at some stage, or let grow down, but obviously we don't now need to put any bleach on the hair to create this look, so it's going to be so much easier for Shona to maintain. Give us a spin, Shona, that's it, lovely. So as you can see here at the root area, we've got that slightly darker shade coming into what is a little bit lighter through the end here, and that's also done wonders to blend in those shorter pieces through the crown area here. They're now nowhere near as obvious because they don't have that obviously dark root light end contrast thing going on, and the base colour that we used I dragged down all the way over these shorter pieces to ensure that they became solid mass of hair. So it now has the opportunity to look a bit more blended into this length throughout. You know, there's no point in connecting it to this length because it will just eat into the bulk of the hair, and the hair's quite fine anyway, so I don't want to kind of overcook it. But we're going to send Shona on a little journey of recovery through a few months of kind of being like this, and we'll probably keep you up to date as we go. If you want to see those videos, do let me know down in the comments section. But that's it for this one. Hope you've enjoyed it, and we will see you in the next one.